Greetings, fellow geeks, nerds, and everybody alike. Welcome back to the Tech Pod. Today, I want to talk about something called right to repair and planned obsolescence. I mainly chose to talk about both of these topics because, at least to me, I feel like they go hand in hand. And I feel like they're both really interesting topics, especially in today's modern technology world. So, as defined by Wikipedia, right to repair is a legal right for owners of devices and equipment to freely modify and repair products such as automobiles, electronics, and farm equipment. The rationale behind this is when you buy a product, it is inherent that we must own it completely, from which the consumers should be able to repair and modify the product with ease and at a reasonable cost, without being captive to the whims of manufacturers for repairs. And planned obsolescence is defined as a strategy of designing a product with an artificially limited useful life or a purposefully frail design so that it becomes obsolete or unfashionable after a certain period of time. This way, the manufacturers and the designers of these products can ensure that the consumers will seek replacements in the future, thus boosting demand. Oh boy, I have some strong opinions about these two topics. So, there have been many advancements in technology over the course of human history that have really defined the way we live today. Harrison Ford with the world's first mass-produced automobile. Henry Edwards Roberts with the world's first personal computer. Steve Jobs, which made smartphones widely more accessible with the iPhone. The list goes on, but that's just a few notable examples. What all three of those examples have in common is when you really break it down, the core products themselves have stuck around for many years and have defined the industries that they were produced in. And they are products that have further cemented themselves in the way that we live today. Everybody knows that there's no consumer product that will last forever. Those products will break down. So it's inevitable that you'll have to decide between two options. Either buy something new or repair and maintain the product that you already have. You spent your hard-earned money on a product. It should be up to you to decide what to do with it. Unfortunately, in today's society, it seems that a lot of corporations that are manufacturing and designing these products don't really see this as an important thing. Why provide the benefits in affordability, sustainability, and availability of products that you own when you can pretty much put an artificially made expiration date on those products and force your consumers to buy something brand new? So hopefully so far that gives you an idea of why I think these two topics go hand in hand. For simplicity's sake, I think we'll stick with those three products, the automobile, personal computer, and cell phones, for the purposes of talking about how planned obsolescence and right to repair affects these products. Let's start with the oldest one, which is the automobile. Pretty much ever since Harrison Ford made the first Model T, the automobile has been a staple in transportation in people's lives. And just like anything, over the years, parts start to go bad, things deteriorate, so there has to be a system in place to help the consumer repair and sustain the products that they spent their hard-earned money on. And thus, the mechanic auto shop was born, allowing consumers to have better accessibility to repairability and sustainability for their vehicles that they spent their hard-earned money on. Over the years, as technology progressed, so did the automobile, and thus mechanics had to adapt to vehicles becoming more technologically sophisticated. And unfortunately, depending on the technology that is in today's vehicles, it makes repairability and sustainability a little bit more of a challenge. Let's use my own car as a personal example. So, currently I own a 2013 Ford Taurus. Love that car. It is fantastic. And, even with it being over a decade old, most of the technology that's in that car still works perfectly. But again, nothing lasts forever. So there is going to be a time, inevitably, that I'm going to have to do major repairs on that car as it gets older. Basic mechanical maintenance is relatively easy. I can take it into an auto shop to have my oil changed every once in a while, change tires, make basic engine repairs, and if I had the knowledge for it, I could even have the opportunity to do those repairs myself. The technological part of the car, however, is a little more complicated. My model year of my car was around the time that a lot of car manufacturers were starting to put these big touchscreens right in the middle of the center console. Now, this does bring a lot of usability and ease of access to the consumer. But if something goes bad on those main touchscreens and you need to fix it, it gets a little more tricky. In my Ford Taurus, for example, it uses first generation Ford Sync, and basically everything from radio, Bluetooth, map navigation, and even climate control goes through this singular touchscreen right in the middle of the center console. And if that touchscreen starts to malfunction or cease to work entirely, I lose pretty much all of those features and makes using the car a lot more difficult. And with it being a more sophisticated part of the car, I can't just take it to any normal auto shop to have it fixed. Chances are I would have to take it to a Ford specialist where they would charge me up the wazoo to either repair it or put in a brand new touchscreen. It's great for the business, but not so much for me. Because, that technology, such as those big touchscreens in your car, they're not cheap. And they are not easy to repair. So, of course, some manufacturers take advantage of this, having no choice but to have it completely replaced, and you're at the mercy of the manufacturer charging whatever the hell they want for you to get it repaired. Oh, this super sophisticated part of your car that's integral to the functionality of your car broke? Well, too bad. How about you pay us $2,000 to have it fixed? With a good possibility of needing to have it replaced another 5 years, and that'll be another $2,000. Now, I'm sure with some companies making these products, it's inevitable they don't have any control over the repairability of this sophisticated pieces of technology that they put in their cars. But I feel like some almost like to take advantage of it, and I don't like it. I really don't. That is straight up corporate greed. There is no reason that a multi-million or even multi-billion dollar company can't find a good and affordable way to sustain the product that you paid your hard-earned money on. And it's not just with those center console entertainment screens in modern cars. A lot of modern combustion engines are computer driven. So that makes repairability of even those more of a challenge. Oh, something broke in your engine? Well, you pretty much have to go all the way down to the guts of the engine just to replace this little tiny part that's integral to running the engine. You want to install aftermarket parts by yourself? Well, be prepared to suffer through the complexity of installing those parts. Plus, on top of that, having them programmed specifically to work properly on your car. And guess what happens when either it's too expensive to repair the current car that you have, or there's no parts available for it? Uh-oh, gonna have to buy a new car. Luckily, I haven't had any major issues like that with my Ford Taurus, although because of how more complex and technologically advanced cars are becoming, it makes me a little nervous when it's inevitably going to be time for me to get a new car. Especially when it comes to those type of cars where pretty much they're doing away with the physical odometers on your dashboard, and it's pretty much all digitally driven by a touchscreen and a computer. And if that breaks, pretty much the entire car will not function. It is good to see, however, that there are some manufacturers, like Hyundai, for example, that are luckily going back to physical buttons instead of a touchscreen in some of their vehicles. And as cool as it is to have a gigantic touchpad right in the middle of your center console of your car, I'd much prefer to have physical buttons that I know will work and will be easy to replace or repair. And I do hope that more manufacturers in the future see this as a possible viable solution when it comes to repairability and sustainability of the products that they produce. Because cars, as integral as they are to our society, they're not cheap. So when I spend my hard-earned money on a car, I'm expecting for that car to last me quite a while. And if something breaks, I'm expecting it to be relatively affordable and relatively easy to fix. And don't even get me started on how some companies tend to abuse their warranty policies. I know that warranties are a good and important thing to have when it comes to consumer products. But man, you're inevitably going to have people that are going to say, you know what? Screw talking to a professional to have this fixed. I have the know-how. I can fix it myself. That's pretty much what I do as a computer guy with a lot of my stuff that I have, like my gaming PC. If something goes wrong with it, I have the technological know-how that I can fix it myself. And if something goes wrong, I will accept accountability. And in some cases, may even have the manufacturer's warranty policy to fall back on. There are some companies' warranty policies that I feel are fair and work really well. Take, for instance, that I buy a new graphics card for my PC. Well, normally, let's just say that the graphics card itself comes with a 1-year manufacturer warranty. And say, like, 6 months after I buy the graphics card, it starts having issues. I can still have that manufacturer warranty to fall back on and be eligible for a replacement graphics card. And I think that's the way warranties should be. But unfortunately, there's some manufacturers that don't see it that way. So, I bought myself a new laptop recently. And it's a really nice laptop. It was a really good upgrade from my old one. But it didn't have as much RAM as I wanted. So, after buying the laptop, I decided to buy some more memory and install it myself. Well, unfortunately, the laptop that I have, the warranty states that if I tamper or attempt to open up the laptop at all, I basically run the risk of voiding that warranty, and I am fully responsible for any errors or mishaps that happen while I'm in there tinkering. Which, I mean, I guess it's fine if you're just in there to upgrade the RAM. But what if something happens after that? What if the screen on my laptop goes bad? What if my SSD goes bad? Well, because I opened up my laptop just to do a simple RAM upgrade, too bad. And I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks negatively about these shitty warranty policies, because the FTC in the past has stated that informing consumers that warranties are voided if they break a warranty sticker or a seal on the unit's packaging, use of third-party replacement parts, or use third-party repair services is a deceptive practice, as these terms really are only valid if the manufacturer provides free warranty service or repair parts. And I feel like it's just wrong to abuse the consumer like that. So, going back to my new laptop that I bought for a moment here, I'll be honest with you, I have never had such a difficult time making a decision when shopping around for a new laptop. Because, especially the way that laptops are made nowadays, I was having one hell of a time trying to find exactly what I was looking for. A lot of the laptops that I saw are pretty much non-upgradable whatsoever. I am glad that I went with a laptop that has at least some upgradability when it comes to the storage and the memory. But man, I would have been so pissed if I had bought a laptop and came to find out that I couldn't upgrade the memory or the storage or anything on it. And for some reason, a lot of manufacturers don't see this as a problem. When you lock down your product and pretty much prevent any kind of easy upgradability or repairability, you are guaranteeing planned obsolescence for that product. Because, say for instance that I did end up buying a laptop that had soldered on memory and SSD. If something broke internally on that laptop, guess what? I wouldn't be able to repair it, at least not easily. And that laptop is pretty much destined for the landfill. And the same thing goes with smartphones. For such an embedded device, I can understand why there isn't as much upgradability or repairability for those compared to laptops. But, let's take my first Android phone for example. I wouldn't be able to really upgrade much on there, but I could replace the battery easily, and I can even put my own SD card in there. But when you compare that to most smartphones nowadays, they are pretty locked down. Let's use my wife's iPhone, for example. So she recently upgraded to a new phone. And one thing I noticed about that phone is you pretty much can't access anything. You can't even put in your own SIM card. You can't even get to the SIM card on that damn thing. That's just baffling to me. I can understand not being able to upgrade the battery because, well, you haven't been able to do that on most phones for the past few years now. I know that some phones are doing away with expanded storage, which, yeah, it kind of sucks, but whatever, I can come up with other solutions. But having the audacity to not even be able to get to your SIM card on your new phone is just beyond baffling. I will never understand that. I never quite understood why there's people out there that would buy a new phone every 1-2 years. But now I kind of understand why. In some cases, I feel like it's not because you want to, but because you have to. Not only does the hardware age, but also software support can greatly affect the possibility, or I should say the inevitability, of needing to buy a new phone. Now, like I said, I'm an Android guy, but there is one thing that I'll give iPhones credit for is software support. From what I've heard on iOS devices is pretty all right. As of recording this, iOS 18 is the most recent version of iOS. And the oldest iPhone models that officially support iOS 18 are the iPhone XS and iPhone XR models. And those two phones came out back in 2018. So I'd say, in terms of, considering the age of those phones, the fact that Apple still supports those as of 2025, that's pretty all right. So kudos to Apple for that. Things are a little bit different on the Android side of things, especially Samsung. It's really the only thing that I dislike about being a Samsung phone user, because Samsung has been notorious for being one of the worst when it comes to Android OS support. I remember my senior year in high school, I had a brand new Galaxy S7, and that may have been one of the best phones I have ever had, hands down. But what wasn't the best was the software support. So that phone released in 2016, and it originally shipped with Android 6.0 Marshmallow, and only officially supported up to Android 8.0 Oreo. And software support was pretty much dropped entirely shortly after that by Samsung. So pretty much you're only getting about 2, maybe 3 years of official software support. That's not great. However, it does seem like Samsung is improving when it comes to software support. Currently, as of recording this, I have a Galaxy S20 Fan Edition. Love that phone. It is fantastic. And it originally shipped with Android 10 and currently supports up to Android 13 as of recording this. In 2020, Samsung did reveal that all models of the S20 series would be supported for 3 generations of Android software updates and 4 years of security updates. But in 2024, they decided to extend the support for a 5th year, moving from monthly to quarterly. So I think, as far as planned obsolescence goes, in general terms, hardware and software support go hand in hand. And it's not just with phones. This also applies for PCs as well. And one notable example that I can think of in recent memory is Windows 11. So, Windows 11 isn't bad. I use it on my laptop and my gaming PC daily, and it's great. Don't have any problems with it. Really, the only problem I have is the unnecessarily strict system requirements in order to officially run it. Windows 10 support ends in October of 2025, and there's still a lot of computers out there that are still using Windows 10. And unfortunately, a good chunk of those are not officially supported with Windows 11. There is a way to still run Windows 11 on older hardware that's not supported, although it's not officially supported, and you basically run the risk of losing warranty and support from Microsoft. The company has been asked time and time again if there's any way that they're able to make exceptions with the unnecessary requirements for Windows 11. And no surprise, pretty much, in layman's terms, they have pretty much just said, no. Why would we want to? Just buy a new PC. Who wants this old crap anyway? I hope that they realize, by saying this, that means that hundreds of millions of computers that are still very usable to this day, are going to be ending up as e-waste. Like, imagine buying a computer like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's still relatively useful, and it does not support Windows 11, and you need Windows to run your applications. Well, your options are either to cough up additional money to pay Microsoft for extended support, or pretty much get rid of that computer and be forced to buy a new PC that supports the newest version of Windows. I refurbish a lot of computers and sell them as a little side hobby. And this Windows 11 fiasco really affects that, because it means that I have to pay more to look for computers that are new enough to support Windows 11. It's kind of sad to see people calling hardware that's older than, say, 2019 old and unusable, but that is very incorrect. Like 6th and 7th gen, even 8th gen Intel processors, they can't run Windows 11 officially. But 9th gen and up, yeah, perfectly fine. Even though those older processors, yeah, they're older, that hardware is still very, very usable. It just goes to show that big corporations do not give a shit about e-waste and right to repair at all. I don't mean to sound pessimistic about all this, but man, if things don't change, things look really bleak. I'm not the kind of person that is willing to put up with having to be forced to buy the latest and greatest thing, even though the thing that I bought a couple years ago is still perfectly usable. Which is why I am a huge advocate for right to repair, and I feel like planned obsolescence is just ridiculous and not necessary. There have been enacted legislations to help further cement right to repair as a very important thing when it comes to technology. But I feel like it needs to be more of an emphasis for everything that we consume in our lives. I'm the kind of person where if I spend my hard-earned money on a product, I am going to run that thing into the ground. I am going to use it until I either can't fix it myself or it's virtually impossible to fix professionally. So I think we'll just end it here. That's my overall thoughts about right to repair and planned obsolescence. Definitely let me know what you think. I'd like to hear your opinions as well. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.